Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What up? What up? What up? What up? It's Friday. Last Friday of the month. We are going to September. Man, what an August we had so far, man. Salute. Put a one in the chat if you can hear what I'm saying. Let me know. Put a one in the chat if you can hear me. And man, we're going to talk about Gen X, man. The great, the bad, and the ugly. I will not put the good because I think Gen X is a great generation, man. Think, you know what I'm saying? Gen X likes to say they are the forgotten generation. I would like to say they are not. I would like to say they're very important. But I do have a little bit of criticisms about the generation in terms of culture, maybe politics as well. But let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it. Let's get it started, man. Let's get it started. Let's go. Shout out to everybody in the chat that will pop in. Make sure you share the stream out. You know, make sure you share this stream out. I appreciate it. You know, shout out to everybody up in the building. Let's see right here. All right, let's go. Yeah, make sure you share this stream out. Salute. I'll put the link up in a few. Let me just talk my spiel, and then y'all feel free to give me opinions, man. I would love to hear from you guys, man. All right, let's start, man. Let's start with music, man. Gen X. Let's go.
They go ooh and ah when I jump in my car. People treat me like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar when I'm supreme rap star. They all know me ED when I flash the greens on TV. MCs be robbing me of my technique, the way I speak, the way I get down, the way I sound. And if you ask me, it must be on the jock of the innovator. Rock won't bounce the skater.
Okay, fuck it. Enough with the tight shit. Grab the mic quick. Hollywood niggas, put it down, spit some hype shit. The B&B, Eric Parrish, making dollars. The rap scholars keep the show packed like funeral parlors. Deadly, murderous. I know you heard of us. Hold this shit down on the block, nobody serving this. The E double and Mike Doc, Boom Doc, Steph Jazz off the media, yo, this shit is hot. Never seen before, heard before, the uncut raw. I'm Eric Sermon, and I'm Barry Smith. Never seen before, heard before, the uncut raw.
Yeah, I'm Eric Sermon,
and I'm Barry Smith.
Check it. Now I'm back with the flyers material. Mike Doc and me dub the Grand Imperial. My mic's deadly, so I scratch off the cereal and stash it until I have to kill. I will keep it moving. This is me in the flesh.
H. Brewers and shout out to Ragnarok. Shout out.
I'm smoking Joe when it comes to rap. I'm a professional. Tiger Woods, I'm good.
Time to black out. No doubt, people want to know about the inside scoop with the glue. And are they coming out? Damn, Skippy, I'm tipsy, high like a hippie. Don't take drinks from strangers, cause niggas slip babies. That's why I stay on cue. Go my F's and J-U, I-C-E. So chill and bust the debut. In rare form, of course.
Gen X. Let's go.
Those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Some of those that work forces are the same that bar crosses. Some of those that work forces are the same that bar crosses. Some of those that
You're next. Let's go. No.
My girl's like candy, a candy tree. She knocks me high up off my feet. She's so fine, as can be. I know this girl is just for me. Candy girl, you're my world. You look so sweet, you're a special treat. Candy girl.
Who remember this playing prom for the Gen X's? Prom time.
Dream of candy coated raindrops. You're the same, why can't we rest? Have you ever loved someone so much you thought you died, giving so much of yourself? It seems the only way. Tell me what you want and I will give it to you. 'Cause you are my love.
You can tell the world you never was a girl. You can burn my clothes when I'm gone. Oh, you can tell your friends just what a fool I've been and laugh and joke about me on the phone. You can tell my arms go back into the phone. You can tell my feet to hit the floor. Or you can tell my lips to tell my fingertips they won't be reaching out for you no more. Don't tell my heart, my achy, breaking heart, I just don't think he'd understand. And if you tell my heart, my achy, breaking heart, he might blow up and kill this man.
We're gonna start right after this. I gotta get the move right. Gen X. Let's go. All right. Well, salutations, everybody. Salutations. What's going on? I see you got some people in the chat. Shout out to the big homie General Washington, AKGW, Ragnarok, H Tourism, man. Hopefully, other people stop by, man. Because we're gonna have to talk, man. We're gonna talk about Generation X, man. Gen X. A lot of people say Gen X is the most overlooked, underappreciated. What else can we add on there? What else can we add? Forgotten generation amongst all the generations, in terms of modern times. So starting from the silent generation on, or maybe even to the greatest generation and further, the Gen X, as a sum up of all their generation, feels that their generation is the most forgotten generation. Now, there might be some truth to that. There is some truth to that, and I would like for some of the Gen X's eventually to hit the banner, talk about it. Let's bridge this gap, man, because I think a lot of these conversations sometimes they hit a stone wall because we do come from different generations. We do come from different outlooks, different neighborhoods, different states, different cities, different area codes, you name it. Sometimes even different countries and different continents. So let me bridge the gap on the generation side and try my best to do it on that end. All right, so let's start here. Let's start with the great. We just heard some great music from Gen X, man. Shout out to Gen X. They made some great music from, you had Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilots, Green Day, Rage Against the Machine, Prodigy. I think Beck is a Gen Xer. Jamiroquai. And that's just rock music, techno, EDM. You go down the list. Gen X set the standard in terms of going forward of how music was going to be. That's what made him great. It's one of the things I consider Gen X great in as a group in terms of them making music. They made great music that stood the test of time. So we just played some music earlier. One of my favorite Gen X songs I ended it out with was Prodigy, Breathe, man. That's one of my favorite songs. That's one of my favorite songs right there. And I love it right there. I love it right there. Let's see. All right, so let's go here. Let's see. I want to start off first with politics, though. I know we skipped the culture. Let me go to politics real quick, and I'm gonna share a screen with you guys real quick. Give me 1 second while I try to find this screen to share with y'all. Let me see. And let's see. All right, we're gonna go with the Trump side. Let's go with the Trump side first. Make sure you like and share the stream. And if you feel inclined, throw something in the Cash App. I'll appreciate it. I appreciate that so much. But let me get this out of here. Let's get this out of here. Let's go with this right here. Let's see. All right. So let's start with this. Shout out to Politico as a website. Politico. I like their website. Pretty entertaining commentary sometimes that you get with them. And they talk about Gen X. How Gen X became the Trumpiest generation. Now, this one I consider Gen X great for because I think a lot of their greatness came in while they were older. They were older in the game. Part of it was when the youth they weren't youthful anymore. They were wiser and older. And I think this is a part of Gen X that gets grossly underrated is their politics. So let's talk about it. All right, so we see a woman on there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but let me see if I can go down here so you guys can see it real quick. Let's see. It won't let me see it for some reason. Let's see. Full screen layout. Let's do it that way. There we go. All right. Let's see. Is this tab is that? Yeah. So there we go. There we go. All right, right there. All right. So Gen X. Now I know we see the woman on there. We see the woman on here. But this is the title. How Gen X became the Trumpiest generation. So there's two sides of the coin here. I wanted to go with the Republican conservative side first, and then I'm gonna flip to the liberal Democrat right after that. So, all right, let's start with this. Says alt rocker Sherry Westrich's journey may seem unusual, but given the strange political arc of a generation, it might not be. All right, so let's see. She's fixing an old school car right there. Shout out to Gen X. Always Gen X, one of the people that, last generations in terms of working with their hands, man. I always like to say Gen X is another great thing. Shout out to y'all. All right, so they say here it's in Iowa mainly, drowsy, rainy day, a Thursday specifically. And the Iowa State Representative Chris Cherry Lynn Westrich is speaking to a school group about how a bill becomes law. So she says the state legislation is out of session and only a handful of members are lazing about the chamber catching up on correspondence. Westrich, who is a petite cherry blonde, that's something that Gen X had. That was the last age of petite women, was Gen X. She just finished up explaining how a lawmaker can summon a legislative page to their desk if they have a specific request to add to a bill. Her audience is made up of a group of about 24 middle school age kids seated on the floor in the back of a corner of a room. So I don't see how this correlates with Gen X. I want to get main two. I don't want to read the whole thing, get lost. So let's see. All right, so let's see right here. All right, let's go right here. Westrich trying to explain her past to a school group of children too young to remember Kanye West at the VMAs, let alone the mid-90s alternative rock scene, which I think Gen X was a big part of that. Very big part of that alternative rock scene right there. So shout out to Gen X on that one again. All right, so you guys know who Madonna is. Madonna signed my band to a record label. We toured all over the world, and we got to play all the big coliseums like MSG, Madison Square Garden, and then we had videos. You guys know about MTV? We had about 2 of them, and you can still find them online from a long time ago, back in the 1900s. All right, so I'm thinking she's relating that Gen X time of the 90s, really the 80s and 90s coming up. She's trying to relate to these kids who look for the picture here. They just laying there. That joint look crazy. See, this is what we got to face right now. Kids laying down, and you got to speak to them. But this is why I no disrespect to her. She's doing her thing politically, but women in office, that's the sum of it. That's how serious they take you. No disrespect. Like I'm gonna go off topic just real quick. Shout out to Free Zone Lou. He's in the chat. Shout out to Free Zone. No matter what generation you in, you could be a boomer, you could be a millennial, you could be a Gen Xer, you could be Gen Z, adult. You trying to speak to kids, this is how they look at you as a female. No matter how much you could throw on a suit, you could throw on leggings, you could throw on a stripper outfit, they just gonna look at you like that. They don't take you seriously today. And that is going to be the ugly side of Gen X that I'll explain in a little bit. All right, so she's right there taking pictures. All right, so okay, let's see. All right, so they're talking about pop culture in the 90s, trying to relate with them, but I'm trying to get where she's talking about being the Trumpiest generation. All right, here we go. So Gen Xers can be roughly defined as those born between 1965 and 1980. They came of age under Ronald Reagan amid the end of the Cold War. So Gen X really grew up during that time of the Cold War. I would say that's the Cold War generation. I don't hear a lot of people talk about that. I don't hear a lot of people talk about that. Man, I'm glad you're doing well. Ragnarok, salute to you. Glad you're doing well, brother. Keep at it, man. Don't give up. You heard? All right, so I never hear them talk about being the Cold War generation. So okay, so let's look here. The popular image of Generation X has never quite fit in within any easy political framing. It's the generation that produced grunge rock and gangster rap. Now, keep that in mind. Gen X is the generation that produced grunge rock and gangster rap. Okay? So that's not boomers, that's not millennials, that's not even Gen Z. Of course, it's not. But Gen X is the generation that produced grunge rock and gangster rap. They also reached cultural consciousness at the height of the greed is good 1980s memorialized in Oliver Stone's Wall Street. In fact, if there was any popular image of this generation's politics, it was that they were apolitical. Now, if any Gen Xers in the chat, let me know. Do you think that Generation X is the most apolitical generation? I kind of disagree, but let me know in the chat if you agree with that. All right, let's go next here. The big movie, the slackers depicted in the Richard Linklater movies or the grunge rockers in flannel were almost devoid of political inclination, save a generalized cynicism and MTV's Choose or Lose campaign, which is designed, I remember that, Choose or Lose, I remember that, which is designed to simply convince young voters that politics matters at all. After their first election in 1984, they bounced back and forth in presidential elections. Although exit poll data doesn't always provide a clear generation breakdown, but were never particularly progressive and veered to the right of the nation as a whole. All right, so what they're saying here is Gen X is really not really progressive. And I kind of agree, because I always say this about Gen X too. I think Gen X, the generation that's last purely American, meaning that there weren't too many anchor babies. There weren't too many, international pockets of children. And, now we got a lot of international representation now in America. Everybody's either Haitian, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Nigerian, you name it. That didn't really go on during Gen X's youthful times of the 70s and 80s. Maybe the 90s, but even then, I don't think the 90s was that strong. But let me digress. All right, so they say here, and there was always hints of a more right-wing inclination culturally, even if that may have been camouflaged by the less politically charged atmosphere at the time. The first major political depiction of this cohort was on the sitcom Family Ties, where Reagan-loving teenager Alex P. Keaton clashed with his liberal boomer parents. Now, this is key. I hear a lot of Gen X and the boomer talk. And I think, I'm going to be honest, man, I think millennials are going to sit that one out, bro. I understand that we have boomer parents, but that's a whole different conversation with millennials versus Gen X, in my humble opinion. So I think the ugly with Gen X, in my humble opinion, is that while they clash with the boomers, it's not a clash of power. It's not a true war, and I understand, sometimes power is sometimes, handed over during times, but with power, you definitely got to fight over it. It's not going to be, you just wait your turn. And I think Gen X has a lot of habits where they try to wait their turn to, get to power, in my humble opinion. But let me know if y'all don't think so. All right, so that show right there is a clear sign that Reagan was loved by the youth. It seems like, according to the sitcom, while the boomers were against Ronald Reagan, which I don't know if that makes sense, because I would have to say the boomers outnumbered the Gen Xers in population, and Reagan wouldn't be in office without a significant boomer vote. So I don't know if that boomer thing right here is more or less an exception, because, and I won't hopefully get Gen X to explain that part, that were boomers conservative, and how so? What makes them not conservative? What makes them liberal? I want to know from Gen X, because this the ugly part to me was the boomer fight right here, and it started since the 80s. All right, so they say here, a Republican pollster, Patrick Ruffini, put it to Politico, The MTV generation has always been a little bit more conservative. Interesting. All right, so now though there is no confusion. Gen X is safely Republican. One model from 2014 measuring only white voters. That's a very interesting thing. Measure only white voters through the 2012 election. So shows those born in the mid to late 60s being the most Republican leaning of all, more so than the older boomers and silent generation. Now, I hear this from I'm gonna say his name, Dirty Folks, about the silent generation. But I'm gonna be honest with you. It seems like I think the silent generation was heavily liberal than conservative. I wasn't there that time. I was not alive. I don't know. But if this is true, then maybe silent generation was a hell of a lot liberal than people like to give them credit for. I don't know. And then they say here the older boomers. So this is key too. The older boomers were more Republican leaning. I don't know how true that is either. All right, so they have a poll. Polls are polls. Generation X had the highest level of disapproval for Biden, and were the generation most likely to say they would vote for a Republican candidate in the midterms if they were held that day. So shout out to NPR. They had a poll saying Gen X would do that. All right, so let's see here. Yeah, shout out to right. I do enjoy Gen X music. I think Gen X has great music. I think all around, I think Gen X has the best variety of music. It's tough to say the boomer generation because like the boomer it's a lot, but like I could put it neck and neck with boomer music. I could put like you take you can even go gangster rap and take it out, and you could put Gen X music against boomer music. They kind of neck and neck with me, but we'll see. In terms of rock, at least rock, I know that for sure. All right, 1 second. I'm just sending an email real quick. Let me do this real quick. All right. Okay, hold up. All right. Never see this on. All right, let's go. All right. So now the CEO of Target Smart, aka a Democratic data firm, told me that Gen X, I guess the author of this article, that Gen X has now become the most conservative generation, surpassing the boomers in their right wheel tilt. All right, now here we go. I think the reason why they're the most conservative generation is because that age group that Gen X is in right now are usually the most conservative by far. Like when you're in your 40s to 50s, some are even going to their late 50s to 60s. I would say that age group would have to be more conservative. So that is a great thing. That's a great thing. If you're into conservative, like I'm a Republican. I'm lining with conservative values, but I have to agree that that's a great thing for Gen X. That is a great thing. All right, so let's get off that real quick. Let's stop sharing that. Let's see. But I was confused by this one right here, so we're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to this one because they said in one article, Gen X is the most Trumpiest generation. But then they will go with this. What is that? We'll go with this. Let's see. What up, Naka? My homie Naka. Sigh out. Yeah, RP Sid, man. RP Sid, man. You know what I'm saying? He's like a Gen Xer to me. Still a Gen Xer. You 1964, you damn near a Gen Xer. All right, so shout out to that. All right, so here they say, would Kamala be our first Gen X president? And this is the Rolling Stone. Now, take Rolling Stone for a grain of salt when it comes to politics, man. But this is the ugly part of it. This is the ugly and bad right here. There's a lot of confusion with Gen X. There's a lot of confusion. And I think with Gen X, I would like to hear from both sides, what is the culture? Who has the culture in terms of politics? Is it Republican or is it liberal, Democrat? So they said, would Kamala Harris be our first Gen X president? Harris was born a month away from Gen X, but she is Gen X in her personal style and the way in the way in which she is read and misread by her naysayers. That's crazy. I don't know what that means. Read. I don't know. I mean, let me see right there. Let me see who wrote this. Alyssa Quart. Let's look her up real quick. Let's look her up. I'm gonna look her up real quick. While I do that, read this thing. Alyssa Quart. Who is Alyssa Quart? Alyssa Quart sound like she one of them those gefilte fish chicks. She sound like a gefilte fish chick. Let me see. I'm gonna look her up real quick. Alyssa Quart. Okay, she might like gefilte fish. Hold on. Let me see if she like gefilte fish. She from New York. All right. She kind of look like she okay. Let's see. Early life. Whatever. All right, let's go over here. Big homie Naka in the house. You heard? Big homie Naka. You got Kamala in here. Kamala says she's gonna be the first Gen X president. They want to sign me up to Rolling Stone. I say negative. All right, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, her new VP pick, have gotten a lot of mileage out of laboring Donald Trump and his running mate JD Vance. Weird. I don't know how they call him weird. I don't know, but that's wild. That's wild. Shout out to JD Vance too. JD Vance will be if Trump is elected president. You know how big this will be for us millennials. JD Vance is a millennial, bro. He's a year before me. He'd be the first vice president born in the 80s if he's selected. You know how big that would be? You know how big that would be? But let's get into Gen X, though. You know what I'm saying? We talk about Gen X today. All right. They got a lot of mileage calling them weird, blah, blah, blah. It's a brilliant construction as it's taking the world hurled at those considered outsiders in America by race, gender, or affinity and attached it firmly to white men of the right-wing persuasion. So now, man, they trying to say right-wing is a sexual persuasion. Well, I'm a right-wing then, nigga. You know what I'm saying? I ain't persuaded the white man, but no man, but I'm persuaded to the right wing. You know what I mean? Shout out to the right wing. If you get that chicken wing, you make sure you get that right wing. All right. So let's see here. All right. It's a primo move of someone who was a member of my generation, Gen X. So Alyssa Quart, who let's see, Alyssa Quart was born. She's born 1972. She's a Gen Xer, but she's a female. Which is this is why I said the cultural war with Gen X. They have a cultural war with Gen X that I think millennials should stay out of, because she's saying that Kamala Harris is the Gen X choice for president, basically, in this article right here. So let's keep going further. It's a primo move of someone who's a member of my generation, Gen X, taking back the power of the outside and exposing those who claim normalcy as the freaks they really are. If elected, Kamala Harris will be the first arguably Gen X president and fittingly laced with both ambivalence and cool. Technically, she's the very latest boomer, born at the tail end of 1964, a month away from officially being Gen X. But Harris is Gen X in her personal style and in the ways in which she is read and misread by her naysayers. Blah, blah, blah. Embracing her Gen X self is her best bet for connecting with a wide range of voters, especially the young ones. You know what's crazy when she says that, man? She totally ignores that JD Vance was born in 1984. So JD Vance, by far, would understand the youth way more than Kamala as a quote-unquote Gen Xer. But let's go. How so? As a Gen Xer, I speak from a position of ironized insight. The memes that her critics use for ridicule are actually quite appealing to my generation, born between 1965 and 1979. Notice she leaves 1980 out. Gen X's ironic yet passionate relationship to subcultural and cultist pop culture, the internet before the internet, as it were, is part of what has been so appealing to younger voters who are now taken with her coconut tree meme, calling her brat, riff on her visit to the record store to get vinyl, and dig the fact that she likes vinyl, her love for TikTok with N6 Lance Bass. All right, here we go. This is the ugly with Gen X right here. This is the ugly with Gen X. Millennials, a lot of millennials like NSYNC, but yo, this is where we're gonna go right here. The ugly with Gen X culture was the beginning of the Mook shit. All right, the Mook shit started really with Gen X going forward, and it started with NSYNC. It started with a lot of that, techno stuff, all that. You know what I mean? All that stuff started right there with Gen X. No disrespect to y'all, but that's my opinion. So while they accuse Harris of being fake, not relatable, and even falsely authentic, the right trolled her for her raucous laughter, her youthful romances, and her unusual phrases. You think you just fell out the coconut tree? Her success so far proves them wrong. While the critics are clearly motivated by a desire to discredit her candidacy, they're also channeling what we might call negative generationalism. Whatever. I guess. Another ism. Harris radiates certain kinds of Gen X adjacent realness. See her dancing unself-consciously or describing to cook a turkey in great buttery detail. So, all right. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, she smoked weed listening to Tupac. That's crazy. Yo, Kamala, when was Kamala born? 1964? Well, let me see when Tupac was born. 1 second. Let me see what Tupac was born. Let me give it a second. Let me see what Tupac was born at. Shout out to Tupac. I was born. She like almost 10 years older than Tupac. She born 1964. She's about 6 or some months older than Tupac Shakur. That'd ever be. Shout out to that Ragnarok. You know what I'm saying? Do your thing, huh, big homie? Do your thing, man. All right, so let me just do this real quick. All right, boom. All right, so I don't see the realness with Gen X because, like, all right, I just read the article from Political saying that Gen X was apolitical. And I don't know if I have Gen X in the chat. Explain to me how she is apolitical. If that's Gen X's description of politics, is that they're apolitical while being conservative. They're not. You can be conservative and not be political. So I don't know. Maybe I'm seeing here. All right, Kamala. Blah blah blah. All right, so let's get off that real quick and let's go to this one here. I'm gonna switch it off real quick because this is what I really want to talk about. All right, let's. Is this it? All right, there you go. All right. Gen X has recently said, and the boomers are in the way they have power. Right? I've been hearing that a lot, right? So I'm gonna switch this screen up real quick. Let me do that real quick. We're gonna switch that screen. Shut the screen. We're gonna preset the upper one. We're gonna do this one real quick. We're gonna do this one real quick right here. Boom. All right. Shout out to Pew Research, man. Pew Research. You heard? Pew. I know, man. Shout out to bro. It ain't easy, bro. Shout out to that, man. 13 years strong is no joke, man. Still hit the Henny though. Shout out to man nigga. All right, but oh man, that's another thing I get with Gen X. Besides Snoop Dogg and all that, you don't hear too much marketing towards marijuana in that generation. I mean, you might, Snoop, Redman, rap, yeah, you hear that. But besides that, Gen X kind of did show that, hey, drugs are bad. That's the drug is bad generation. That's the drugs is bad generation. So that's a great part for Gen X too. I'm gonna add that point on to them real quick. Okay. They say boomers in silence still have the most seats in Congress, though number of millennials and Gen X is up slightly. Yeah, that's a fact. How high? Yeah, them dead commercials real, man. Them eggs, the scrambled egg commercials. Gen X grew up with that's why if you're Gen X, you're a crackhead now. Something wrong with you, bro. Because they had a commercial with the fried egg on there. They was trying to make sure you didn't do drugs. Millennials too. We had Captain Planet. they had the Dare Dog, man, or McGruff. They had everything. They was like, man, we're not doing all that. We're not doing all that. So if you're a druggie now, something is wrong with you. All right, so let's see. The number of millennials in the United States House of Representatives rose slightly with the new 117th Congress, though less so than with the 116th. I wonder why. Okay, so the older generations still make up the majority of senators and representatives. That's cool. That's cool. I think senators have a different criteria. Yeah, that's right. Yo, she did. Nancy Reagan was running the country too, bro. That was like the first female president unofficially. Nancy Reagan, man. That's that Gen X time, man. All right, so let's see here. I got a chart right here for everybody to see. We got Boomer, born 1946 through 64. By far, they have the most members in Congress. By far, it's not even close. You know, and then the other side of it, let's see. In the House, they have the most members in the House, and by far they got the most members in Congress, Senate too. What I see it, yeah. Salute, big homie Clue. Salute to you. All right, so 230 in the new 117th Congress for the Boomers. Gen X got 144. They're catching up though. Yeah, Gen X is gonna close the gap. I think a lot of people don't. For all the people talking crazy about Gen X, y'all ain't see nothing till 2030. Wait till they get their power. Then we gonna see what's going on. Because that's why I said the greatness. That's why I put great as my title, because once 2030 hits, I think there's gonna be a lot more even for the most members in Congress for Gen X versus the boomers. Millennials are very low. Okay, for what I see, born 81 through 96. So far, they got 31. Hey, yo, Nick, you ain't right for that, man. Salute. All right. And then the silent right now is the lowest. I mean, they're not even, unfortunately, you know, they're not, you know, they ain't got that much time left. And then the Senate, by far the lowest is that. What's sad about this is the millennials are low in the Senate and the House. But when I do my millennial show, I'm going to go ham on them. That's my generation. I got to go ham on them. All right, so let's go here. Republicans added more millennials and Gen Xers, 28 to the House in this election cycle than the Democrats did. That's key. So, okay. Talking about politics with Gen X. Let's go here. If Kamala's going to be the first Gen X president, how her party elected only 10 Gen Xers, fellow Gen Xers, and millennials compared to the 28 with the Republicans. That's according to Alyssa Quart. Sorry about that. Alyssa Quart and her Rolling Stone article. Yeah, shout out to Gen X. Matter of fact, Clue, I'm gonna send the link to you, bro. Give me 1 second. Let me send that link to you, bro. Since you're here, we can talk about it too, man. Shout out to Gen X, man. All right, so you know what I'm saying. So if that's the case, if she's Gen X, she's not putting on her own people then, because like it look like in terms of the Republicans, they're more catering to the Gen Xers and the millennials by getting them into the House. All right, but let's see here. In the previous Congress, 46 of the 64 new millennial Gen X House members were Democrats. That's crazy. Now you all good, Clue? You all good? All right. Growing up, it was very rare to find a black Republican that was Gen X. All right. Here we go. We're going to talk about that too. What up, Trey? Big Trey in the building. Salute to Trey. Evil Rabbit Podcast. Salute. All right. So, let's see. I think with this one, though, the 116th Congress, that's Cory Bush and all them. I think they got kicked out the whip, man. I think they did. I think the Gen X, and you know what? Let's do it right now. Let's go with the what I had here. I had a stat here by the voting block. I'm gonna look for that real quick in the background when this is playing. I'm gonna break this down because Let's see here. Gen X voting. Pew Research. Shout out to everybody. Yeah, man. Big homie Trey, man. Shout out to you. Yo, Trey, your video was fire last time, bro. Salute to that, man. Glad you back, man. Keep doing your thing, big homie. All right, let's see. Let's do it right here. All right, Gen X. They have one by the state. Let me see. See this one right here. This is by the state. All right, that's 2018. We need current, but you know what? I had it by state. Let me see if I can send that to myself real quick. I'm gonna find that out. Let me see if I can find that joint out. All right, but I'm gonna keep talking about this real quick. All right. I think Gen X is about to gain power though. And that's the great. That could be great for some. That could be bad for others. That could be ugly for a whole lot of other people. Because Gen X, when they gain power in 2030, they start to gain power right now. When Gen X gains power in 2030, because the boomers are going to get out of it. I think 2020 is their last relevance as in terms of politics, them being relevant. That's why I don't like to hear the boomer talk, because it's like, man, like boomers ain't relevant to nobody right now. They're not relevant to anything. I know they got money. I hear the money argument. I hear that a lot, but I don't think they mess with Gen X coming up. Gen X is gonna have it on lock, and they have smaller numbers, so that's even crazy. Shout out to Gen X. They got smaller numbers, which means more power is gonna be. They ain't gotta spread the power too much around, man. So I mean, take it how you want to take it. It could be good for some, great. It could be bad for others, and it could get ugly for a whole lot of other people, man. With Gen X in power, we got 5 more years. We are already in we are already in the mid of the 2020 era. Yeah, boomers are dying out. That's why I'm gonna do a boomers live, but that's gonna be kind of short, man. It's gonna be like it's gonna be real short, because like the boomers, man, there's not enough boomers out here to even online to talk, other than Jay Speed or somebody else. Like, there's not. I think Gen X is gonna be, because by far we talk about online voices, even the manosphere. Gen X is by far the most powerful voice. Like, even the original, what we knew now, I know they got the past manosphere and all that, but even that was Gen X, bro. Even that was Gen X, bro. Facts. I mean, Gen X, man. Let me see here. All right, let's do this one. All right, here we go. This is one I wanted to share with y'all real quick and get y'all there. RBR, I don't know. RBR is ancient, bro. RBR is like a special class, man. Yeah, it's already gone, Clue. It's already gone. But I do think this is going to be interesting when Gen X takes over in 2030. I think when Gen X takes over in 2030, this is going to be interesting right here. So we're going to go with party affiliation among adults in Gen X by state. So we got here Alabama. Shout out to Alabama. Now the light blue is Democrat. If you can't see, let me see if I could zoom this out for y'all right here. There we go. I'm gonna zoom it out for y'all. To you guys right there. All right, so the light blue is Democrat, and independent is kind of ish blue, and then dark blue is Democrat. I mean, no, Republican. So light blue is this light part right here is Democrat, independent, Republican. Shout out to E-Web Podcast. He said them Z and them A's are mostly gay. Or mostly G-hay. I said gay like happy. You know what I'm saying? But you know what we're talking about though. Facts. All right, so let's go. All right, I got a true. All right, so let's go. All right. If y'all want to come up, feel free. Come on up. You know, come talk with us. Come chat with your boy. Let's see what's up. You know? Let's go. All right. The southern states, man, is really not that much of a difference in terms of voting patterns, man. So all right, let's go with it real quick. Let's go. Let's see. Let me get your content coming out real quick. Let me get you out. All right, Alabama is a 10% or 10-point difference with the voting patterns here. So Alabama's 10 points. I'm not counting independent. Not gonna count that yet. I'm not gonna count that yet. I'm gonna put that as own thing. Arizona, more Democrat, 41. Facts, yo. There's some happy peoples, man. Happy people. Yeah. That's some. All right, 4% difference or 4-point difference with Arizona and Democrat Republican. So that's another. California all the way. We already know California. California, 46% Democrat, 29% Republican. So it was a 17-point difference. Colorado. Oh, this is one with the migrants, man. The migrants is coming in, boy. The migrants over there, man. Let me see if I can find that clip real quick. In fact, let me go on Twitter and try to find that clip real quick. You know what I'm saying? The migrants is wilding, B. The migrants is wilding. Let's see. The migrants is wilding in Colorado. Colorado is a big, it's more conservative than it is liberal. It's more conservative than it is liberal. Let me see if I can find that joint though. I'm trying to find out that video when it was in Colorado with the. Here we go. We're gonna go right here real quick. Right here, real quick. You know, I see that right there. Speaking all types of foreign Spanish. It ain't even New York Spanish. It's foreign Spanish. They speak it fast too. And they got it. Good. Look at them breaking into houses and all that. That's fucked up. You don't know if they're gonna fix your house or rob you anymore. You don't even know that no more. He probably thought they was a plumber and they came in with the strap. He probably thought they was gonna paint his wall over. They smoking weed and all that. That's just Colorado for you though. But Colorado is Republican. All right, hold on. Let me see. I lost the audios. Oh man, sorry about that. Yeah, y'all hear me? Oh, my bad. All right, I lost audio with that one. But anyways, Colorado is more Republican by 6 points over liberal. So that's key. So that's in a liberal city where that's going on in Colorado. Obviously, we know that. But Florida is 37%. This is crazy. Florida is 43%. In terms of Gen X, this is all Gen X here. Gen X votes way more liberal or Democrat versus in Florida for Gen X. So by far. So Colorado Gen X's is holding it down. So if you're going to talk about liberal, it's not Gen X in Colorado, right? That's millennials, boomers, Z, silent. That has nothing to do with Gen X. Gen X ain't playing that in Colorado. But in Florida, they liberal in Florida. They more liberal in Georgia too. Well, we know Atlanta. I was talking to Sub early. Sub talking, so crazy about New York. I was just trolling him real quick, and Sub was like, "Man, all them New Yorkers moving over there to Atlanta and outside making it liberal. Yeah, California, Chicago, everybody's in Atlanta, B. Everybody." And I think that's a big part as to why Georgia is liberal for Gen X's. Because I know in terms of Atlanta, for Gen X's and New Yorkers, that's their haven right there. What? Atlanta? Man, older millennials and Gen X's love Atlanta for whatever reason. Leave it what you will. I don't know why. I'm not a fan of Atlanta. If you're from Atlanta, I'm sorry. I just don't like hot places with no water, no beaches. It's not me, bro. It's not me. I'm not a fan of ATL like that, man. And I went over there. The parking was crazy. I was like, man, shoot, I could have stayed in New York for all this. There's like the biggest sight to see is Martin Luther King's house. I said, word, I'm good. I could go see Nas's house. Well, I'm gonna see Martin Luther King respectfully. He did a speech in DC. All I gotta do is just go to DC right there. But shout out to Atlanta though. Shout out to Atlanta. All right, so Illinois though. This is Gen X right here. Okay, so we got a lot of Gen X's from Illinois. Got a lot of them. Shout out to him. We got True Hype. He's from, I think, True Hype. Is it True Hype or Royce J? One of them dudes is from Illinois, right? I think, yeah. ATL is trash. Hold on. ATL is trash after age 30. I agree, man. I ain't gonna hold you though. Atlanta is one place the migrants really messed up at. All right, so yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Because you got a lot of them Gen X, Gen X. Sorry about that. A lot of content creators come out of Chicago, Illinois area. So like Dirty Folk, shout out to him. Royce J, Chicago Rilla. Man, who am I missing? That's from Chicago. There's a lot of dudes from Chicago, Illinois is repping on that Gen X side, man. So I see why they have a big disagreement because 50% of Gen X's vote Democrat, 20% are independent, and the rest are conservative. So Illinois, like that's, and this is mainly Chicago. You know that 50% is mainly Chicago, and I was in a city. Dave too. Dave from Chicago. I don't know. Dave might be a millennial though, so I don't know. He might be a millennial. I don't know how old Dave is. All right, we go to Indiana. Shout out to Snowman. Snowman's turf, Indiana, the home of the Snowman. And this is 44% conservative, 19% indie, 37% liberal. All right, so they not playing that liberal stuff Gen X did. So you mean a Gen X from Indiana, more than likely? Oh, Black ran for Chicago too? Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. All right, so if you meet somebody from Indiana, more than likely, they could be conservative. So you don't play that liberal games with them, man. It's not going to work over there. Kentucky, another place. Gen Xers are highly conservative. So these are like southern, midwestern states that you've seen the majority of in the Gen X side are conservative, minus Colorado, which is more West Coast, more Midwest, West Coast, and Alabama's in the South. So, like, Kentucky is highly conservative for Gen X. Louisiana, of course, we know New Orleans, you name it, New Orleans, Shreveport, Shreveport, was it Baton Rouge, man? That's heavily liberal. So we already know about that. We already know Gen X is highly liberal when it comes to Louisiana. Maryland, all right, that's where I live at right now. Shout out to Western Maryland in the building. All right, 35% of Western Maryland Gen Xers are conservative. 51% are liberal. That is by far. We already know Maryland's liberal. So Maryland, of course, Gen Xers, y'all liberal. Woo, look at this one right here, though. Massachusetts, Massachusetts, one of the places you ain't gonna find too many black people at. You're not really. This is majority, one of the fewest white metro states in the country. On the East Coast at that. This is like the East Coast white mecca is in Massachusetts. They, in terms of Gen X's, they are highly liberal. It is a 40-point blowout, 42%. Chicago, Illinois was 21. I forgot to add that in there. 59 to 29%. It was a 21-point difference. Brother, this is 42 points. Bro, that's like a blowout. It's like a blowout. So chop shops are available on the block. They chop your baby off as soon as they know you're pregnant. In Massachusetts, the van is there waiting for you. Matter of fact, A-Tourism, they say A-Tourism got that van series. Shout out to that, man. The Who Deserves to Keep Breathing game. Man, that's in Massachusetts daily. They letting you know that. Michigan, liberal as well, 49 to 39. So that's about a 15-point difference. Minnesota, whoa, this is very interesting. George Floyd, this is where all George Floyd stuff is going on. It's half and half. So the tiebreaker is the independent vote right here. Yeah, what up, Laughing Dog? What up, man? You Gen X, Laughing Dog? Let me know if you Gen X, bro. I want to know. Shout out to y'all, man. Shout out to all my Gen X's, man. I appreciate y'all. I'll be talking ish about y'all, but I appreciate y'all. I really appreciate y'all. I really do. So shout out to you guys. All right. Let's see. So they're 46 and even. They're dead even. So 46 and 46 gives you 92, which is that 8% right here. That's not leaning, which is basically independent. Minnesota is very interesting. So like I said, that's going to be, for what I look here, Minnesota might be a battleground state. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Salute. Gen X. Gen X in the building. Let's go. Gen X in the building. Let me see. I got a clip of Gen X real quick, man, while I'm doing it. I got a clip of Gen X, man. Shout out to Gen X, man. When I think of Gen X, I think of this real quick, man.
In the Home Depot. In the Home Depot. This is where we go to pick up boyfriends.
Come on.
Getting in trouble. We gonna get you fired? Okay. You can hang out with us?
Yeah, y'all put me in the game like EA Sports.
Oh!
Yeah, that's that Gen X game right there, man. Shout out to Gen X, bro. Shout out to Gen X. All right, Minnesota is the only state that didn't vote for Reagan. Yeah, that's crazy. But now it's looking like it's going to overturn, Clue, because that's a dead even. So I could see 2030 Gen X really making this really conservative. You can see that. All right, Freeze Don't Lose got a question. What kind of effect do you think there will be socially if the boomers die out politically? I think the cycle continues, but at a worse rate. I kind of agree with you that the cycle continues, but can you give me some more things what you mean by the cycle continues? Give me some more examples of that, so I can probably answer that question for you. Yeah, man. Let's see. Why are you doing that? I was checking it out. What kind of effect do you think? I think we're seeing that right now. I think we've been seeing that with the past few elections, that this is a Gen X influence election. It started really with Hillary Clinton. I want to say that because, like, you can even go Obama really was like the Gen X kind of election, even though millennials will swear up and down that was the election. I would say Gen X, in terms of the liberal side, Gen X started with Obama, for them to be in charge of things socially. Now, Gen X on the conservative side, if the conservative boomers die out, that remains to be seen. I don't know how that looks. I really don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how conservative Gen X's will look if the boomers die out politically. I'm just going by here what it looks like. But I really don't know. Hopefully they can answer in the chat. I'm gonna put the link in one more time. Y'all want to come on? I would like to know that too from a Gen X point of view. All right, let's go with Missouri, aka the Show Me State. Is that the Show Me State? I think Missouri's the Show Me State. Missouri's the Show Me. Conservative in terms of Gen X's. All right, so this is it. They are by far in Missouri a 3. It's not even that bad. It's only 3 points. So Gen X is easily to overtake Missouri. All right. I just think the younger folks are a lot more tolerable of MAGA and rainbow stuff. I'm gonna be real with you, Free Zone. Gen X was too, and boomers. The only issue was the type of MAGA and type of rainbow. Because I think you were a little bit younger than me by, like, I want to say you probably the tail end of the 80s. I'm the early 80s. So I mean, you had a lot of, like, I would say the MAGAs for the older millennials. I can speak on that. And like young Gen X's, we were around the same time. They were tolerable of them. I mean, a lot of them got to speak. If you look at Ice Cube, he'd been political since the 90s, so they were tolerable to MAGA then. The rainbow stuff, the rainbow back then. How do I say this, man? the rainbows back then were a little bit more tougher than they are today. I just say that. Like there's Brokeback Mountain, and then there's Saucy Santana, right? I think Saucy Santana's the new one. So I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. Because like the Eminem movie kind of showed, like, if you ever seen 8 Mile, that one dude, that was probably the hood's representation of the rainbow. Was that dude in the Eminem? If you ever seen 8 Mile and he goes to go battle rap at the end and the guy takes his shift, and he was like the noble Mook or Omar. Omar's another one for Gen X. That's another thing too. Omar from the Y is a Gen X creation. So yeah, I don't see it going back. Period. I don't. You're right. You're definitely right. I get. Yeah, that's a fact. All right. Shout out to Free Zone a little bit. Now, but back to this one, man. Free Zone be hitting me with the good ones, boy. 22. New Jersey and Massachusetts. Now, ooh, that's a tough one. New Jersey and Massachusetts. One is 20 to 62. This is 22 to 61. Clue going there though. Clue going there though. I'm gonna leave that alone, man. All right. That's crazy, New Jersey, which is up. I mean, I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna flip this one over though. I'm gonna flip New York and New Jersey over because they could interchange at any time. If you're from New York, New Jersey, they kind of flip. So this could be New York at 61 to 22, which is about a 39-point difference, and then this one's 20 points, which I'm surprising. There's a lot New Yorkers that are on this fence right here, so it's damn near there's no leaning, but then the Democrat leaning right here in New York. We already know about that. Woo. But these two, I'm gonna be honest, you can switch New York and New Jersey at any time. Yeah, like Gen X Rainbows, like they weren't in your face though. That's one thing. Like I growing up in New York, man, you knew not to go to the what was it called? Man, what was the area back then? You don't go to the meatpacking district. You don't go to man, what do they call that place now? The Village. Yeah, you don't go to the Village at all. If you go into the Village, that says a lot about you back then. Now today, millennials and Gen Z, they like to party over there. But back then, speaking from New York, I don't know about other places, you cannot be caught dead partying. Gen X and older millennials, you can't be caught partying anywhere near the Village. I'll just leave it at that. Like, say that's how Gen X was when it came to rainbows. And yeah, they kept to themselves. That's very true. North Carolina is another one. Okay. Shout out to Sub-Zero. I kind of agree with him on this one point more so than Georgia. I say there's a heavy New York influence when it comes to North Carolina. So I can see why this Gen X number is 42 compared to the 41. It's close, but I can see that. I can see why, because New York is a heavily. I know a lot of New Yorkers that move more to North Carolina than I do Georgia and South Carolina. Maybe because I'm a Bronx guy and a lot of Bronx people, they move to North Carolina and South Carolina versus Atlanta. So I don't know. Shout out to Ohio, though. Ohio, they're more conservative in the Gen X side than they are on the liberal side for Gen X. So the 7-point difference, that's actually the first time I ran to a lot of these where it's more conservative. So let me look up here. The only one I ran into that was more conservative on this list was Kentucky. Kentucky was 14 more or 16 more points higher. And Indiana, of course, I skipped them too. But then, like I said, you can interchange Indiana and Kentucky too. If they're that close. I've been over there before. They're that close. But other than that, like if I'm looking here, Ohio, man, shout out to Ohio. The Midwest to me, if I had to be honest with you, more so than the South, the Midwest they're more conservative than the South. And that's the point I was trying to make with Sub-Zero. I know he like to say the South is all conservative. Nah, the Dixiecrats is there for a reason. That's not no old school term. That is the South. The Midwest was mainly conservative. The farming area, agricultural, they were more conservative than the South were. I'm just being honest. Because there's Houston, there's Dallas, and Dallas, Fort Worth. Those are not majority black cities. I know Houston is, but whatever. But shout out to the Midwest. Shout out to Ohio too, man. Deacon Dave in the building. Old Town in the building. Shout out to the Buckeyes, man. Y'all holding it down for Gen X in terms of conservatism. Yeah, that's a goodism. That's a truism. That's a goodism. Not playing. PA, Gen X. Oh, PA. Okay. PA. I'm gonna say this. When I look at PA, I see more Philly. I see more Philly in this demographic, this percentage, than anything. Philly's a big number. Damn, Clue, you went there already. You went there already, man. Dang, man. Clue pull no punches, man. Clue ain't the type to jab you, man. He gonna hit you with hooks all day, just hooks. Boom, 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 man. You gonna have to take them hooks, bro. You gonna have to take them hooks from Clue, man. Shout out to Cluminati, man. But like I said, Pennsylvania to me is more Pittsburgh, Philly, even places that bordered, because there's a lot of places that border Philly and border Baltimore too, which is another thing. There's a lot of Pennsylvania cities that border Baltimore, Maryland. So I can see why this is it's higher for Gen Xers in terms of the liberal than conservative. South Carolina ain't playing that all the way. The gap is there, but that's, again, South Carolina is a funny place because I agree. This is one of the places more so than Georgia that you have New Yorkers, New Jersey, all types of people that live there. But by far, New Yorkers, the dark complexion, are moving to South Carolina. That's why one of the places I refuse to live to, because I know so many people there, is South Carolina. I know too many New Yorkers that live in South Carolina. I'm not messing with that. He said, that's why I'm moving to South Dakota and not Texas. I feel you, Clue. And salute to you on that journey, man. We're going to make that happen. We're going to make that happen. You heard? Like, shout out to that. Now, did I skip South Dakota? No, not yet. I'll get to that. All right, 44 to 35, but still holding it down in terms of conservative values or voting patterns. Tennessee's not playing, though. Tennessee's not playing. By far, let me look at this. I'm looking at all so far conservative Gen Xers by voting patterns. This is by voting patterns. By far, let me go down here. Even Kentucky was the closest. Tennessee was not playing with this. Yeah, you got to go to Tennessee, Trey. Tennessee's not playing that. They might have them Sandown Towns in Tennessee, man. They are not playing that. What happened to my thing? Did I take it off? All right, there we go. Yeah, South Carolina. I mean, not South Carolina. Tennessee's not playing that. Them Gen X's in Tennessee are with the shits. If you are conservative, you liberal, you might have to take that to Lexington. You might have to take that to one of them city parts in Kentucky. They're not playing that in the Ozarks. I think that's in Kentucky, the Ozarks. They're not playing that in the Ozarks, man. They're not playing that in Appalachia, right there in Tennessee. They're not playing that. Shout out to Tennessee, man. Memphis, too. Memphis is I think this counts. If I'm going to go with liberal Gen X's, I would say this is Memphis, Nashville, all the little cities in there. But by far, even in Memphis and Nashville, they still out here. Gen X repping it wild in Tennessee. Gen X, Texas. Let's go. Texas. All my Texas people, where y'all at? All my Texas people. Yeah, I could. But you know what? To be fair, though, I'm going to say, I'm going to leave that alone because I want you guys to come on the chat and explain it for me. So if you guys want, I'll put the link in there. So if you guys want to come on, feel free. All my Gen Xers, man, and even millennials, Gen Z, if y'all, I mean, y'all don't listen to me, but if y'all do, whatever. But even the boomers, in your old age, you reach for that cane, you're like, I got to respond to the banner. Y'all come on, Gen X, boomers, come on. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no applesauce and cinnamon applesauce for your gums and all that because you're old. But, we can talk. Texas, though. Texas, 41 to 34. No lean right here. But this is Gen X. So, I'm my millennial one. I want to see how Texas looks when it's millennials. When I do my millennial show, I'm going to do that one. Say that one. VA, home of Pablo, Trey, Prime VA 757, my homie Doug, man. So many great people I know from VA, man, from Richmond, Petersburg, Portsmouth? I call it Portsmouth, Norfolk, Fredericksburg, man, Sterling, Roanoke. They are holding it down. And I only think when it comes to this on the liberal side, I'm gonna be fair, this is majority Nova. If you know about Northern Virginia, this is it. Gen X by far, I think is all Nova. The rest of Virginia is conservative. They're not playing that. So they might be undecided here, but the rest is conservative. Did I pass South Dakota? Let me check out South Dakota, Clue. South Dakota, if it's on here, it got to start with, did they put it in here? They didn't even put it in here. It's messed up. Okay, I ain't see South Dakota on here. My bad, I'm going a little fast, but I don't see South Dakota on here. Or the Dakota. It's messed up. Okay, we're going to leave that alone, though. Washington State. Okay. Portsmouth. Okay, yeah. Portsmouth. All right, got you. I call it Portsmouth. He used to be mad at me for saying that. Call it P-Town. Shout out to P-Town, though, man. Virginia's holding it down. I think Virginia, man, in terms of the East Coast, I'm going to be real with you, man. I think Virginia got to be the new hub for the East Coast Conservative Party, bro. I know Florida by far, but I love Virginia and its conservative values, man. When you used to ride in Virginia, you see that Confederate flag flying in the air, man. You know, you better ride on the speed limit. You better be on your best behavior. Shout out to Virginia. Virginia makes you be on your best behavior. Go on Fairfax Park Plate. I mean, today you could do that, but back then, they wasn't playing that. Washington State, though, 35-42, more liberal. We know that. That's a liberal part. It's still coming up. The West Coast is still coming in. I'm gonna add Oregon on there too. They could, you know, be one and the same. You know, Wisconsin's the last one. That's a Midwest part, and I think one of the surprising ones that is more liberal than it is conservative. And I don't know how true this is, but is it true if you're from this area, the Midwest, that is more liberal because of Chicago, Gary, Indiana, Detroit, so many places bordering there? Let me know, Gen X, in the chat. We stay off the radar. That's a fact. Shout out to South Dakota. They definitely stay off the radar, man. But check it out by the table too. All right, so this is Pew Research, so take it for what it will. But you know, shout out to Gen X, man. I think Gen X is, and this is what I like about Gen X, though. And I think this is very underrated with Gen X. Gen X they're not a monolith. Gen X is far from being a monolith. They far from it. Because the voting patterns tell you as such. I know if I go by the millennials, I can just tell. If I do the millennial research, I want to say that for my next show, but if I do that, I guarantee you it's not as, I don't think it's as much even parity. I would think that a place like Massachusetts for millennials, let me put up Massachusetts real quick. That's for everywhere. Mine is the conservative states, maybe like a Texas, Kentucky. I can see them even, but every other state for millennials, this is probably the norm. 62-20. You know what I'm saying? Are you in Wisconsin? Is Milwaukee, aka North Chicago, screwing it up? Damn. I can see that. Yeah, with Wisconsin, I can see that. I can see that, man. But that's the great part about Gen X. Now, let me show some videos real quick, man. Let me show y'all some YouTube clips, man. I love Gen X. Let me say y'all, man. Gen X, man. That's why I like. There's no monolith. You don't know what you're going to get with Gen X. You might run into a liberal Gen Xer on one side, and then walk down the block, and there's a conservative Gen Xer. It's so much variety with Gen Xers that I think they underrate themselves. Like, you can't put Gen X, you can't pigeonhole them. Gen X had, even the music I played earlier it was a variety, man. It was country, it was gangster rap, it was regular rap, party rap, rock music, grunge. You couldn't country like you can't just put them in one box. And I think that's what the millennials got to learn from Gen X. We are too much alike. And I'm gonna be real. If you were born after 85, you're a millennial, you damn near the same. There's no difference between an 85 millennial and a 95 millennial. I'm gonna be real with you. There's none. You know what I'm saying? Gen X, there's a little bit of difference. The 60s generation of Gen X is way different than the late 70s generation of Gen X's, man. So let me show y'all, man, Gen X, man. We're gonna have some fun real quick. If y'all want to come in the chat, man, let's show Gen X, man. Let's show Gen X real quick, man. This is Gen X in the chat, man. Let's have some fun real quick. Let's have some fun. You know, if y'all want to come up, have some fun real quick. This is the great part of Gen X, man. I wish y'all talk more about this, Gen X, y'all, especially with others that don't know. A lot of people don't know about this, man. They don't know about this, man. They don't know about like growing up Saturday morning cartoons and joyful things. They don't know about these things, man. So let's go.
The Bugs Bunny Roadrunner Show.
Oh, my God, lights. This is it, the night of nights. No more rehearsing and nursing apart. We know every part by heart. Oh, my God, lights. This is it, we'll hit the heights. And oh, what heights we'll hit. On with the show, this is it. Tonight, what heights we'll hit. On with the show, this is it.
Starring that Oscar-winning rabbit, Bugs Bunny.
And also starring my fast-feathered friend, the Roadrunner. Roadrunner, me, me. Roadrunner, beep beep. If it is you, you're through. Roadrunner, beep beep. The coyote's after you. Roadrunner, if he catches you, you're through. The coyote is really a crazy clown. Beep beep. When will he learn that he never can mow him down?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Gen X, man. They grew up good, man. They grew up good, man. Shout out to them, man. And to me, I don't know about the boomers. But this is one thing I think Gen X is they don't talk about, man. Y'all are the first generation to grow up Saturday morning cartoons, man. You know what I'm saying? This is key. Part of childhood that's missing today with these kids. They don't have a childhood today. These kids don't know nothing about this, man. They don't have no childhood, man. They have no clue about this. But you guys were the first ones to kick the door in. Said, man, look, we're going to be entertained, man. Now, some people might look at that as a bad thing, but it was a balance back then for the Gen X's, man. Let's go.
Poor little Roadrunner never bothers anyone. Running down the road, his idea of having fun.
The Bugs Bunny Roadrunner Show.
The Bugs Bunny Roadrunner Show will return after these messages.
Trouble again.
Anytime I'm weak in the knees, I hanker for a hunk of, a slab or slice a chunk of, a snickerdee is a winner, and yet won't spoil my dinner. I hanker for a hunk of cheese. Yahoo!
We got Gen X. Where we at with it, bro? Let's go. Right, Albert.
And I'm gonna sing a song for you. And this is gonna show you a thing or two. You'll have some fun now with me and all the gang. Learning from each other while we do our thing. Gonna have a good time.
It's Bill Cosby coming at you with music and fun, and if you're not careful, you may learn something before it's done. So let's get ready, okay?
Hey, yo, no, I got you. That's why I'm gonna stop right now. We're gonna stop right now, and we gonna leave that. But you know what I'm talking about right here. All right, so let's go right here. Let me see what I got here. All right, I'm gonna do this clip real quick. 1 second, y'all. All right, we're gonna go with this video real quick. Shout out to Free Zone Little Man. Good looking on that. I appreciate that. All right, so here we go. Free Zone.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 254, I believe. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for kicking it with.
In the 1980s, summer break was always something that every kid looked forward to. It was a time when a kid could be a kid and there was no thought at all of school. You had plenty of time to spend with friends, and maybe you had a sleepover, pool party, or just rode bikes together. This was also the time most families went on vacation. But sooner or later, the summer would come to an end and it was time to go back to school. The school always had a distinctive smell, and it's one that you hadn't caught a whiff of since school let out last May. But the first day was always different. You could smell the new jeans and new clothes. Everyone had them, and the scent would permeate the air. It was also a time when you were looking around to see what everyone else was wearing. Coca-Cola was not only something you drank, but it was also a fashion. Guys were simple: jeans, a shirt, and a pair of sneakers. Girls, not so much. There were leggings, Keds, jelly bracelets, jelly shoes, charm bracelets, plastic hair clips, and plastic shirt clips. It was hard to keep up with all the different things that girls had, so I'm sure I've skipped a few things. Oh yeah, kissing potion lip gloss. That was a big thing, and every girl seemed like they had that. This first day of school was filled with other things that were new. You probably also had a new backpack.
All right, now I'm gonna also say this about Gen X, man. I would say you guys are the last generation where like second base was a thing, man. Second base was a thing for Gen X, man. Like, yo, you get that first base, that second base was a big thing. They even had lip gloss for second bases. They made lip gloss second base. So shout out to that, man. Shout out Gen X, man. I think a lot of things that Gen X had, and I'll say this about them as they got older. I don't know if they put that onto their kids or maybe their kids rejected it. I would like to know if any Gen Xers have children, what happened? Did they reject your teachings? Because it seems like it's different. It seems like something was lost. You know, millennials and Gen Z went straight from second base. They going to home plate now. They going to home plate, and home plate. They didn't have these commercials back then for home plate. Let me show you. They didn't have these back then. Get real. We gonna hold on. Oh, damn it. That was for educational purposes. That was a film back then that taught you about STDs from the 70s. Man, we had that, man. It'd be different. So the education was even back. I think Gen X too was the first ones to experience technology as we know it in the beginning stages. So let me show you. Yo, look at that size of that computer back then, bro. Woo. Hold on real quick. I ain't gonna hold you. This is how I know Gen X was this. Hold on. I think I ain't muted. This is how I know Gen X was probably, they had discipline like a mother effer. And the women back then were not playing that old stuff back then. Like, she looked good for a teacher back then. You know what I mean? I know some dudes ain't into that. I'm into her. I'm into her. Hold on one second. Like, yeah, man. Look at Gen X, man. Ooh, that like, to hold that, they're not doing nothing. They just chilling. She's learning. If this was today, he'd probably be a baby daddy right now. That little boy would be a baby daddy right now with a millennial teacher. The millennial chicks is pedos, B. But and some Gen X's too. But back then it was straight education. If you look at it, Gen X had a true education. And probably the last to have that true education without technology. But let me let it play. My bad. They weren't scared of COVID either. They would share headphones and all that. These kids today would be scared to share the same headphones with each other. That's why China making all that money in Five Below. Shout out to that. I gotta hit the ugly now, bro. I'm gonna start with here. I'm not Geekazoink. F it. Let's play with it. Let's go. I'm gonna start with this one. Let's go.
Woodstock 99.
It was going to be the biggest party on the planet. But that's not what any of us remember it for.
What the hell happened?
It really felt like it was flower power and coming together in harmony.
I've never seen this many people.
Peace and love and music. That was it.
Put some hands up in the air.
It felt like a crowd that could turn at any time.
It was like this unleashing. All this energy.
There was no control.
The environment was just very male ego.
I started seeing large groups of dudes surrounding women.
There was a lack of respect.
Given the climate of the guys there, I'm not surprised by it.
Hey guys, back, give us some room. You're getting scary here.
What sort of setup do you have for accountability?
How many security guards?
Yeah, that's crazy. They was using the words accountability back then, man. Man, yo, Gen X, man. But shout out, I mean, I wanted to go to Woodstock. I was way too young, man, but I wanted to go.
Do you have on site?
They were glossing over all of that.
Big fat ripoff.
They're all about making money off us, and we're pissed.
But the show was going to go on.
I think we need to see a whole hell of a lot more.
When you see it with your own eyes, it's just 10 times more shocking. Once you become part of a herd, you become like animals.
Things are just getting out of control.
And all of these people were acting like animals.
Now, who you heard say that before, man? He just did a speech the last DNC talking about, man. I remember in Charlotte, he said, man, them people act like animals, man. Hey, man, let's see.
We got fires everywhere. Look at this.
Kerosene match. Boom.
That documentary's out right now on Netflix. Go watch it if you can. If you haven't, I might watch it tonight. For what I see, it might be a great documentary, man. But shout out to that, man. Woodstock was wild. That is on the Caucasian non-black side, right? You know, those black people there. Let's go with this side on Gen X, though. We got to go on it. Y'all know what I'm about to play, man. Let's go.
You want to know how to take a better shower? Stop.
The days of freak.
Before I let this play, Isaiah Carey. I'm mad at Houston. Y'all got Isaiah Carey. I wish we had Isaiah Carey as one of our local news guys, man. I really wish. I like him, man. I like his stuff, man. Salute to Isaiah Carey, man. Let's go.
Freak Nick, look it up, Google it, could be coming back to haunt some Gen X folk, people my age. A lot of people's moms and dads have been dreading the release of a new documentary about the event. The working title is called Freak Nick, The Wildest Party Never Told, which is appropriate because it was the most popular festival among Black college students in the 80s and 90s. It was like their spring break. There are plans in motion to stop it from hitting Hulu. According to reports, a group of unnamed professional Black women are planning to file a lawsuit to stop it, claiming the documentary can't be released because they did not sign any media releases at the time. Let's jump right into the conversation. Joining me now here, witnesses to, well, one witness to Freak Nick, Rob G, the general. DJ.
Yo, he's about to put their business out there, and Isaiah stopped himself real quick, man. Hey, I want to know if anybody's in Houston. Is he the same guy that the fly got in his mouth? He was cursing out. Was that him? Is that the same newscaster? Is he the same newscaster? Oh yeah, he was too young. Yeah, cool. We ain't that much. You ain't that much apart in age, but damn, man, yeah, I feel you on that one, man. Shoosh. It was wild back then. Gen X, that was the early Gen X days, man. Them 70s babies was wilding, man. Salute.
A superstar is too young, and attorney Simone Redwine, who was too young as well. Now I went. I think it was like 80, it was 89 or 90.
Okay.
You know, and Rob, you went, right?
I was there in 91.
Okay.
You know, and that's when it took over and really got crazy. Beforehand, it was set up as a way for the kids from DC to have something to go to because they couldn't go home. They couldn't afford to go home. So it was just a DJ. They had some go-go bands, and nobody was checking for go-go in Atlanta. So they wanted to, be reminded of home. So it started out.
I did not know that, man. I didn't know that DC, what people call now the DMV, I think that's what they call themselves. This was weird. But anyways, like DC was the originator of Freaknik with go-go music. I don't know if you guys heard go-go music before, man, but I always thought of it as karaoke. Like live karaoke. But I mean I like go-go from time to time, man, but I ain't a big fan of it. I just thought it was karaoke night. But that's interesting, man. I did not know that. Let it play.
Nice and wholesome. The people from Spelman and from Clark and from the AU Center. It started out something cool and nice for them, an HBCU style. Mm-hmm. But then it grew. More people found out, and less collegiate people started coming, and that's where it kind of turned crazy.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm glad I wasn't there. Oh, I might not be a lawyer today.
But for those, and there are some women out there who say they don't want this documentary to air because they may be in some of those videos. And there were some, revealing videos with them. I think it was twerking before twerking. What was it called back then?
Oh,
I
what?
don't know. What was it,
Grinding?
Luke? Ground?
It was
What
more like
it?
grinding.
Booty bump?
Tootsie Roll. What was the other one?
Popping.
Yeah, pop.
There you
Okay,
go.
we can't say the other word.
Pea popping.
Pea pop. There you go. On the handstand.
So would they be able to fight this? Is this, a legitimate lawsuit, or they
It's
just
not.
No.
Unfortunately, there's no expectation of privacy when you are pea popping or twerking on a public street, right? In fact, they did it because they wanted people to see. So here, the lady's argument is that, well, they didn't sign releases, but you don't have to when you are in a public place, when there are cameras in plain view, and even after seeing the cameras, you keep twerking.
Mm-hmm.
So in that instance, they get to continue. And the law is very protective when you say it's a documentary or a newsworthy program like here. And so even if it was illegally obtained footage, because this is newsworthy, because Hulu itself didn't illegally do the footage,
Right.
they can still release it.
All right.
Boom.
So, Superstar, what you gonna do?
I just said, boom.
What you gonna do? They got you, Superstar.
Hey, I had my clothes on.
I've seen your
wasn't
videos
even-
before.
whatever.
I'm kidding. She has no videos. But what do you think about that for them to come back all these years later and say this will harm their career, their reputation?
I don't think so. I think that is just so ridiculous to me when I heard that. I was like, first of all, they'll probably blur it out, blur. And then who's to say that they got them on camera?
Right.
Exactly.
I mean,
No, hold on. Hold on. Let that picture right there.
Mr. PAT.
My bad, I was muted. I thought I heard this. And I think of this dude right here.
Mr. PAT.
Hold up. I think this dude right here. Hey.
Stripper. Cocaine. Flip. Cocaine. Cocaine. Killer. This is my life. This is my pain. Trapped in the ghetto. Trapped in the game.
Hold on, I was muted. I was thinking, man, who this dude is, man? Somebody, you think it was him, man? Yo. Yo, my man, look at this, my man right here, man. Hey, you know this is the 90s, man. They was tucking their shirts in back then with the J's. They was stylish with it back then. Back then, you didn't need a bottle of Henny. All you need was a Corona back then. You get mad shorty was just a Corona bottle. Look at that. Today, when you talk about free zone, when the generation dies off, the fuckery will be more expensive, okay? That's my answer. The fuckery will be more expensive. Back then, the fuckery was a little bit more cheaper. All you needed for fuckery was a Corona and a blunt of Reggie. Today, you need exotic. You need, what's that? Douce. You might need a Airbnb now. Back then, you just needed a rental Jeep, which was cheap. You just need a white beater, some jeans, your OJ gloves, and a Corona. That's all you needed back then. That's all you needed back then. Yeah, the fuckery inflation is gonna be crazy when the boomers. Oh man, the fuckery inflation is gonna go high, bro. That's my whole point right there. The fuckery inflation is going to be high, bro. That's why I said. That's why I hear millennials. I be here. Shout out to Ed, man. You my homie, Ed. I hear your pain, bro, because them shorties out there is expensive. Gen X, this is the last generation you can get punani with a cheeseburger. You get punani off a cheeseburger and a Corona. Look at that, man. That's why they made no scrubs. Gen X was a generation that made no scrubs, and in return, they said no pigeons because those chicks was cheap back then. Today, that's why you hear all these stories from Platinum. Who the other dude? Shout out to Ism. You know what I'm saying? Back then, the inflation for fuckery wasn't high, but today, woo, it's different. Let me let it play though.
Out, blur. And then who's to say that they got them on?
Exactly.
I mean, it's
That's very presumptuous. I was a star. That ass out there.
Isaiah, that was 30 years. That was 30 years ago. They probably gained 40 pounds and probably unrecognizable by now.
Anyway, nobody gonna know you. Although there is footage of Yolanda Adams, and I would like to see her.
Oh boy, yeah.
Wait, Yolanda Adams. I heard that name before. That's not. I'm thinking of India Ari. Yolanda Adams, I think, is the gospel singer. So she was at Freaknik. Come on, dog. That's not surprising. But look at it. Look, yo, I ain't gonna hold you. Look how clean them rims are, though. The dudes were stunning in them rentals back then. See, that's what I said. Back then, you could roll with a rental in Gen X times. You could get away with the rental and then bring it back. And then you ain't got to worry about the insurance problems and all that. Because, these dudes, they was leaving cum stains on the rental. They was leaving yeast infections on the rental. They was leaving all types of things on the rental back then. Now, you know what I'm saying? It's more expensive. You can't rent out no more. Yeah. Oh, I think I know what you're talking about now, man. Look how clean this was, man. Gen X, man, that's the last generation where the punani was cheap price. That's why you hear these dudes 50-50. What was it? Provider relationships. It looks crazy when millennials talk about provider. Millennials all the way 50-50. Salute. You know what I'm saying? We all the way 50-50. Our student loans, man, we can't afford this, bro. We can't afford this with our student loans. That inflation with the student loans crazy. That's why our fuckery ain't that high. We ain't doing that much. We doing fuckery, but a lot of millennials got to go across the border, across the seas for fuckery. Then they come back in a box. Respectfully. I mean, I'm not dissing nobody. I'm not smoking on no dead, none, whatever they call that today. I'm just saying. Gen X back then. Look at him, my man smiling. He about to go get that Daggle cooch. Look at him, my man. He got the other dude in the passenger side. They know TLC is about to make a song with him about them like 2 years later. Look at them. They chilling. My man, like, look, we about to bag some joints in our Mercedes-Benz rental. Let's go. Let's play.
Yes.
But whatever we find on Yolanda, she's redeemed herself. We love her. Doesn't even matter anymore.
30, 40 years ago.
Right.
Man.
So have you been intrigued by all of this, Superstar?
I have been really, really, really intrigued. Actually, me and my friends, we just had finished high school and we drove down to pick up my friend in New Orleans and we drove to Atlanta. So we experienced it, I think when it was like on the down slope, when it got real ratchet. But I mean, everybody in our crew had our clothes on and stuff, but I think it is,
that is crazy. The defense is, I went to Freaknik, but I left and I came in with my clothes on. Yo, that's crazy. This is why I said, man, yo, this is why Gen X, they're the top, man, because like Gen X, part of that, they had a great economy. They was living that part. You know, the 90s was great. The 90s was great. Great economy. .com was booming. You know, international trade was booming. You know, I think cheeseburgers was less than $1 back then still. It wasn't $2 for a cheeseburger back then. You know what I'm saying? Like you get candy 5 for 50 cents. What, 10 candies, 10 peppermints for 50 cents. A pack of juicy fruit or what was it? Winter Fresh. For my millennials and Gen X's. Winter Fresh. That was the gum of choice, Winter Fresh. That was 25 cents. So you can, your breath smelling good. You could bag this dagger right here back in prom. You can bag her back in her prom. You know what I'm saying? You can bag that if that's your thing. You bag her. Look at that. She said she left with clothes on. Came in with clothes. Damn, that's an ill flex.
Hey, if you're from Houston, you know about the Kappa Beach Party. I think that was way over the.
I think more people in Houston would be scared about a Kappa Beach Party. If you know anything about the U-Haul, man, then yeah. Wait, what? Just people who know about the Kappa Beach Party and the U-Haul, man. You can't Google that.
But the men today, those are probably the ones that really need to worry, because although the statute of limitations passed and they can't face any criminal charges if they were misbehaving, you know, social media will cancel you.
Yeah,
they will send your photo to your job. They'll get you at the post office, whatever.
But you think people will go back that far?
Hey, yo, fuck all that. You know what I'm gonna say about that? They're gonna try to cancel people. Let them play this song. Let them play this song, B. Let them play this song.
In the power. Lames I devour. I got a bad bitch and the pussy tastes like water.
What?
Kidnapped your daughter, have her stripping in the club. She fell in love with daddy cause my game screwed up. I'm from the south side, all we do is sell power. Contract killers, suicide robbers, cocaine, stripper.
You know you talking to dudes that are suicide robbers. They suicide robbers of the Punani, man. Them dudes is kamikazeing for the Punani. You trying to think they gonna get canceled? They probably gonna own it, man. They probably gonna own it, shorty, respectfully. And I know, and her prime, man, she probably was, her prime, she probably was getting them joints, man. They probably thought she was looking like Vanessa Williams out here. They probably thought you was looking like Vanessa Williams out here back then. Back in your day, they was like, oh, she like Vanessa Williams back in her day. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if I can enhance that real quick. All right, there we go. There's what I said. Back in that day, woo. Let me play. All right, shout out to that. That was a great one. Let me play this last clip real quick. Then I think all right, we'll pick up my daughter. So hold on 1 second. Let me see what it is. Oh, I'm not doing no Undertaker, boy. You bugging. Undertaker, that definitely get me out of here. Hold up. Nah, we're gonna do that. Do this one real quick. Let's do this one. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Hold on 1 second. All right, let's do this. Calm down things a little bit. Breeze on Lou, what up, man? What you got on there?
Hey, man, what's good? What's good? First of all, the video is muted. I don't know if you know that, but we can't hear anything.
All right. Let me know if you hear
But
it now.
I don't hear anything.
Nah, let me refresh it.
Yeah,
Refresh
bro.
it. Hold on.
Yeah, but but before you play that though, per my comment, bro, I think if you were a young adult, can you hear me?
I hear you clear. I hear you clear.
I think if you were a young adult,
My mic is muted. My bad. I hear you. I hear you.
okay, I think if you were a young adult in the 60s, the 80s, or the 90s, I think it was the most time for you. I think those were the most lit times in modern America, let's say.
I agree with you, Free Zone. I agree with you, but go further as to why. I agree with you. Go further as to why.
Well, okay, so the 60s was the time of the whole revolution, and the 60s is really when like all that stuff that you were, the people before you were taught, like they taught you, it's like fuck all that. Fuck all that. We're just gonna live and let live. In the 60s. Now, in the 80s, that's when you had your emergence of, like, you had, icons and stuff like that, very popular, but I think it shifted in the 80s, where you had more pop icons. You had the emergence of, like, the beginning stages of the technology that we have now. And I think you had the best of both worlds because you were young enough, right, to understand how things went before, but you're old enough to adapt to the modern time and hop on the wave. So not only was it lit, but you're winning. And in the 90s was just a continuation of that.
Great points, man. So let me ask you, man, if you could sum up Gen X in the best you can, how would you do that?
If I could sum up Gen X, I don't know how to sum up. I actually don't have an answer for that. When did the whole concept of the latchkey kid start?
Well, I would say a lot of people say Gen X. Gen X was like the first set of it. I would say it kind of ended, to me, it ended with like the millennials up to a certain point.
Okay, so then that would mean that Gen X was pretty much left to figure things out with minimal parental guidance.
That's true.
That's when that is literally when the wave started, which is why I guess everybody blames the boomers. I don't really get into any of that stuff, but it's funny to listen to, but I don't get into that. Point is, I just see them as they were forced to raise themselves and figure shit out. They were the beginning. They were the first of that.
It is true, man.
Like
I agree. Oh, my bad.
Yeah. No, I mean, like you had a little bit of that. It was started to increase in the 50s. It is not really in the 40s, but even in the 50s, even though it was increasing, you still had people before you that you understood the assignment. But once the 60s hit, late 60s, get out of here. That was the dawning of the old niggas gotta go age. And every generation after that has increasingly said old niggas gotta go. That was the beginning.
No, that's a perfect summarization right there, man.
Yeah, bro.
All right, so according to Wikipedia right here, let's see. It says it predates 1942. I'm not sure. But then they say it became commonplace with Gen X. So it's funny, but I'm gonna go more Gen X. That it was more dumb because they talking about mainly the upper and middle class homes where they had little to no parental supervision, like you said. So not really the poor neighborhoods. That's a given, but the middle class and upper class was with Gen X, that latchkey right there.
Right. So yeah, I think that whole latchkey concept is a huge part in the entire progression of America through the generations, because when you don't have parents in the home, you pretty much left to figure shit out yourself. And in a complex system such as this, if without the right information, you're left to your baser instincts. Hence Freaknik, hence Woodstock, hence and fuckery and the fuckery fee has inflated ever since. So that's my take on it. You know what I mean? But shout out to the Venezuelans, bro, because they bring in the fun in for they're trying to shift the market. They're trying to bust the inflation.
Oh yeah,
they bring a hose over and say, "Hey, you have all the fun you want with me for $20." Like,
and get a barrel of gas, and a gun.
You know what I'm saying? So they trying to and the market is deciding. So they trying to shift the market.
That's a fact, man. That's a fact right there, man. I like Gen X to me, like I said, I grew up with the later Gen X's, like the ones born in the mid 70s to like late. And what I seen was like there's a difference, but like millennials too. I think millennials are underrated because it's so much difference between like the 90s ones and guys like around your age who's in their 30s right now. And then the 40-year-old millennials, that's a whole different story. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, bro. Now I would say if there was the last of it, the millennials had the last of the best of it. I don't know what year. In between, whether it's the early millennials, the late millennials, because I don't know the years. But I would say everything after millennials is beyond cooked. Beyond cooked.
Why you say that?
Because I think the millennials are the last of the whole, like, if there was any semblance of tolerance or intolerance left, intolerance. So we're not finna roll with this, we're not finna go for that. If there was any resemblance, if there's anything left of that, it'll die off with the millennials. I think the millennials were the last ones to be pretty intolerant in the positive sense. Now, in the negative sense, everything after that, like the younger folks are very intolerant of a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of negative stuff that they're intolerant of. So that doesn't really help them. But like, I mean, just speaking as a millennial myself, like it was lit, bro. We had some lit times, man. But after the millennials, I think that's it, man.
Yeah, I
millennials
think so
are
too,
the,
but you know what?
When you say in too deep, right? If I were to, how you can say a nation is in too deep, the millennials are the last of that. Everything after the millennials is like in too deep. You don't even understand the concept of another normal in this country. You don't.
All right, let me ask you this question then. In terms of pro-black, because a lot of people on this channel, they debate against pro-blacks and all that. What does Gen Z pro-black look like versus Gen X pro-black or millennial pro-black?
Gen Z. What is Gen Z pro-black? That is a good question. I don't have an answer to that, accurate answer to that. My opinion would just be a less tolerant version of what we have now. I think the Gen Zs were. Give me the years of Gen Z again, the exact years.
I'm gonna say because they do about 15 years. So millennials, what 96? So 97 plus 15 will put it at 2012. No, 97.
That's Gen Z.
I would think so. What 97, 15? Yeah, I think it's what 2012. Yeah, 2012.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. No, Gen Z is 65 to 80. So I think that they were a much more effective pro black group. I think that I think that they were more yeah, I would say that they were a more effective pro black group. The Gen X. The Gen Zs, I don't think so. I think it was just platitudes at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like I think Gen Z was the movement of just get the bag, man. Like I know everybody points out Al Sharpton and all that stuff, but Al Sharpton ain't the. He's not even. He was the prominent one, but he wasn't. He was far from the only one, and still to this day, there's a lot more Al Sharptons out there than people want to admit.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're free to do what you're free to do as you please now. Even more so, you know, since the civil rights and all that stuff. So like, there's really very little reason for so many. You know. And nowadays it's like you can actually have a job as an activist. Like that's your job. You know what I'm saying? So that's a more prominent thing. And so when it's your job to do it, everybody wants to keep their job, right? So you know what I'm saying? So you got to do a lot of fuckery, a lot of bullshit to keep your job. I don't know if I'm right or not. I'm just giving my opinion. I could be completely off here, and I'm willing to admit. I'm willing to, you know.
Good points. To me, you're making some good points. I think because like look at Umar Johnson, right? Umar Johnson, Tariq Nasheed, even Polite to a certain extent. They're polarizing figures, and I think they are. I think majority of them are Gen X. Even if they're millennial, they're highly influenced by Gen X. And that's the part I think when I do my millennial show, is that millennials are still influenced Gen X to a fault now. What is millennials outside of Gen X rap music? Gen X culture? What are they? Because like we kind of lived off the Gen X coattails for a long time. That a lot of us can't even find out who we are. So I would like, you know, I know millennials will definitely want to chime in that, hopefully.
You're saying, expound on that. Are you saying that's because, like, why would you say that?
All right, let me put the space for example. If you look at the space, right, you got Obsidian, Angry Man, even Tommy Sotomayor. Those are all Gen X dudes. The next millennial you can put on that list, leading it off right now, maybe a Fantastic, maybe a Ty City, Ramil. Let's see. I'll throw Hamp on there too. Those guys, even the format they do is Gen X base with the whole, you know, that was what O'Shea was doing. So, but the difference is I think the type of people they're getting on millennials now is the difference. Even though like you're starting to see kind of a separation now. Like more millennials are working with it. Like Camp and Fantastic is a perfect example. But usually millennials don't work with each other too much. Like I was thinking of Ramil Ty. That was a big one. I would love to see how further that would have went, because I thought that would have been big for the millennials. Like, yo, you got Ty City. I don't know how old Ty City is. I think he's probably like young 30s. Ramil young 30s. And they're leading off a charge. Even though right now, like if you look at it, they are leading that charge. You need more millennial dudes like not spit that Gen X kind of message, which I think is what you've been roasting on. Like no disrespect to Ed. Like Ed's speaking a Gen X kind of argument. He a millennial. Like it's way different for us than it is Gen X. Like Gen X was like second base was a thing for him. Like dudes is busting already. Like, you know, even though the fuckery inflation is high, you know what I'm saying? Dudes are still busting. Like they paying that. They don't care about paying $200 for a date. Back then, Gen X probably paid like $40, $50 at best. So like it's changed, but a lot of dudes are still stuck on that Gen X argument. Like Oprah, Ricky Lake, like that's Gen X. We were young, like, you know what I'm saying? Even the oldest ones, we were teenagers when that stuff was out. So we don't have no relation to that.
Right. Well, I got to bounce, but I will say this. I'll say this. Ed is the representation of you said Gen Z, Gen X, or he's Gen a millennial, X, right?
Yeah, he's a millennial. Yeah.
Okay. So he is a millennial that has realized that he has been priced out of the market in every way possible, and has no ability, has no confidence, no determination to up his price. That's all he is. And there's a lot of them around here.
Ooh.
He's that prototype.
Damn, man. Shoot.
Yeah, man.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
Damn.
I got to bounce, bro. To be continued. I got to bounce though.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah, I'm about to close this down, but I'm glad, this is a great one, man. I might continue this though. Let me know if y'all want me to continue this. I want to have more Gen X's on this too. I wish I could hear from them, but I want to do the millennial one next, man. I want to do the millennial one next because like that point he made, Free Zone, that's a lot of millennial dudes, man. That is a lot of them, man. Woo. That was a crazy way that, man. Woo, man. You feel like
baby, come on,
this
out.
Right,
it's okay. It's only me and you.
Are you sure?
Yes, Martin, I'm sure.
We getting like that, man. We getting them lumps, man. So, hey, I appreciate everybody that came on. Shout out to Evil Rabbit Podcast, Free Zone Lou, Deacon Dave, Clue Channel, Laughing Dog, man. We had who else I had on here, man? Sigma Jones stopped by. Shout out to Sigma Jones, man. Shout out to who else I had? Ragnarok, Naked L, man. Salute to all y'all, man. I'm gonna continue this conversation though, but I gotta pick up my daughter. So I appreciate that, man. Hey, millennials is next, man, because that's gonna be the banger one, man. I think millennials, and then I'll end it with the boomers. I might do Gen Z, but it's tough because like they're here as adults. So I would love to talk to them, but the boomer one and the millennial one might be my best one if I could get that stuff together, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Thank y'all, man. And shout out to Gen X, man. Shout out to Gen X.
Please
a motherfucking nigga walking this planet with a ding dong swinging to his ankles that I'm afraid of.
Peace out, y'all. Peace.